applications.
Great. Thanks very much. Hello, everyone. As you said, my name is Duncan Sullivan. I'm from Latitude Geographics. A little bit of background in terms of what we do. We're a software company. So we build software that sits on top of the Esri platform that enables our customers to develop and create their own web mapping applications, deploy them and maintain them, mostly through browser-based configuration. So not a lot of programming is required to do that. We do offer professional services, support and training as well to augment what our customers do. And we bring a lot of experience in local government, public safety, and energy-based web mapping applications. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today about was some of the challenges that our customers have faced in the past and how our spatial application infrastructure approach has helped them overcome those challenges. And then I'll go through some customer examples as well, so I can show you what some of them are doing, and hopefully that resonates with you guys. In the past, I've gotten myself into trouble doing live demos, so I always try and do one, but at the same time, sometimes I like to bring the live demo to you guys and let you start interacting with the technology as well. So I've got a few handouts, not enough for one for everybody, but if you could, if you have a smartphone, you can scan it or enter in the tiny URL and then pass it along to your neighbor and let them try it as well. So what I'm hoping you guys can do over the next 20 minutes is load this HTML5 viewer. It should work on an Android, Apple device, iPad, desktop, doesn't matter. And then you can play around with the software a little bit today or when you get back to the office when you have time. I'm going to advance the slide. Am I going to cut off here? You got it? Perfect. Okay. So I'll start off with some of the challenges. The big one is Esri technology, and actually just technology in general, changes very, very quickly. When you're trying to utilize technology in GIS, it's a bit of a moving target. So specifically, with Esri, there's been a lot of change over the last little while. So how do you deal with that? How do you get stuff done, develop applications, but then deal with that change when platforms shift? Second challenge, it's difficult to maintain more than one web mapping application. So you build one, and it needs some care and feeding. You build another one, it requires more care and feeding. Pretty soon you've got a whole family of GIS applications. How do you maintain that? So, just as in terms of a graphic, the first one, then lots of new users see what you've done initially, and then they want a desktop application, then someone wants a handheld, and then a tablet. And at the end of the day, end users can become happy, but it can be very difficult to be that GIS administrator that's building and maintaining these applications. It becomes even harder when you've got multiple GIS administrators within an organization, and it sort of compounds the whole problem. So in a nutshell, these are some of the sort of the takeaways that we've learned, and you guys probably have some of the same challenges. So lots of different changing stakeholder requests. A lot of repetitive tasks. Hey, can you print a map? Hey, can you print a map again? Hey, can you create a mailing label list? A lot of repetitive type tasks. How do you deal with that? A lot of different platforms. Hey, I love this desktop application, but can you put it on my iPhone for me? Oh, and by the way, my colleague has an Android device. How do I do that? Lots of technologies we've talked about. And then, of course, there's never enough budget these days. So, two takeaways. It's important to choose the right technology, and then it's critical to have a strategy for managing that change surrounding the technology. So at the end of the day, the question that you may ask is, how do you build and maintain all of these successfully? So at Latitude, our solution is what we've coined Spatial Application Infrastructure. So on the top you have all the different platforms, all the different technology, all the different user requests that are coming in for applications. And down below you have some of the technology that you're working with. And sort of the whole idea behind spatial application infrastructure is it's an insulating layer between you, the applications that you're creating, and the changing technology. So that when Esri updates, goes from 10.1 to 10.2, how do you mitigate the effect on your applications? So for us, spatial application infrastructure really breaks down to three categories: SAI itself, workflow technology, and map viewers. So I'll go through each of these in a little bit of detail, just to give you a picture of things, and then we'll dive into some customer applications. So spatial application infrastructure, think of it as sort of the central piece that basically pulls in all of your disparate data sources, interacts with all of your different technology, all the different platforms, and all the different user requests. So to sort of contrast it to sort of traditional type approach where you stand up a custom viewer application on top of Esri, you're custom building map services, data connections, a lot of the custom tools, all these things, and you're creating in essence custom code. When you build a second application, you take what you can from the first, and then you sort of do that again. So our approach is to put GeoCortex on top of ArcGIS Server, and you can build various different applications. So maybe a tax assessment application in Silverlight, public permit request application, maybe a road closure management application on HTML5, and then something for an iPad for incident reporting. And using GeoCortex, you build all of these things internally within GeoCortex, and it becomes a technology agnostic environment that you can work within. So you can build a report once and share it across many applications. You build a workflow once and you share that across multiple applications. And then you may build something in Silverlight, and then it'll be easy to deploy to a mobile application in HTML5. So you end up with more what we call platform shared code and less custom code. So workflows is a really powerful component of GeoCortex Essentials. It allows you to take sort of business process and technology and combine it into what we call a workflow that is then exposed through the viewer, which creates a sort of a user-guided or wizard-guided interface. So, this example here is collecting an address from a user, leading towards generating mailing label reports. So the idea being you build this workflow, push it out into an application, and now some of those repetitive tasks that you're being asked to do can be done by the user themselves, which reduces the amount of time that you need to spend on those types of things and frees up your time for other stuff. So we literally have hundreds of activities that Esri has created and that we've created that you can basically stitch together to create these workflows. So one example, get a user, display a form to that user, query a task based on the information they've entered, do some geoprocessing, push the data to a CSV file, and then write that file to a database. So pretty complicated and technical things, but in a workflow, a novice user can accomplish those tasks. Once the workflows are built, they can be pushed out, to desktop applications, mobile phone applications, and they can be shared across a multiple of those type of applications without having to custom build it for each one. Okay, so the last component that I wanted to go over was map viewers. So we currently have two, Silverlight, which is a really robust tool, great for desktop applications, for power users, lots of great tools out of the box that you can use. And then HTML5, which is sort of the silver bullet for public-facing applications, because it'll run on literally any device. So hopefully so far, some of you guys are having success loading that onto your phones. Just by a show of hands, the people are able to get that on? Okay, perfect. So the way that these applications are created are through the browser-based tools I was telling you about, called Essentials Manager. So you can see on the left-hand side, there's a number of tabs, and as you select the tab, the information for configuration is displayed on the right. So currently the map tab is selected, and you can go through and you can start editing map services and feature services right within Essentials. So you can have one map service that you maintain on ArcGIS Server, and you can pull that into multiple applications, delete layers that you don't care about, edit them, decide what zoom levels you want to set. All that configuration is done through Essentials Manager on that same map service. So you just have to maintain that one map service. You can also, tie in geoprocessing servers, geocoding servers. You can create data connections to anything with an ADO.NET provider. So basically, Oracle, SQL, Access, Excel, all that kind of data can be tied in and matched up to a feature. It's a great way of pulling in that extra information, or linking out to file systems that have pictures. So if you have a picture of an outflow and some additional data in a database, you can bring that in, tie it into a map service, and then display that on a map, which then becomes searchable and usable by your end users. So lots of other things that we can go through if we have more time, but once you've built that central site, then at that time, then you deploy it to a viewer. So either Silverlight or HTML5, and then there's a tool that you can go in to configure the look and feel of that viewer. So what do you want showed? You know, your logo, banner, you know, tool options, as you can see right there. So then the end result are various different types of applications, and we really promote the use of creating targeted applications, so not the big monolithic GIS you know, system that everybody can go to, but you know, what is the business problem that you're trying to solve? So this is a simulation that we worked on with the San Diego State Visualization Center. This basically depicts a bomb blast in Petco Park, which triggered a hazardous material spill. So you can see the inner red circle is the bomb blast radius, and then the outer circle is the evacuation zone, and then it's showing a plume from the field based on wind. And then what's probably hard to see is a number of, you have all the red cross locations and you know the evacuation centers and all the you know the traffic light data, all that information there as well. So you can really build you know, that situational awareness system to manage these types of things. So this was a bomb blast. It could be you know planning for a nuclear power plant. It could be you know a flood simulation. I mean you know it can be configured to meet your specific needs. Another common thing that we're starting to work with is police departments and enabling them to do intelligence-led policing. So this is an application that runs in a police car. So the scenario was, you know, they want to provide data to their police force, but they didn't want to increase the data transmissions to sort of you know, be more than the cost of the actual car itself. So we cached the map on the device, on the MDT, and then this is a touch-enabled interface that allows the police officer to basically identify trends in crime and then be more predictive in terms of where they go to do policing work based on that. So there's clustering and you know various charts and heat maps and such to enable them. And then they can zoom in to specific incidents and pull up their records management system to actually get specific crime data as well. This application was built by the Victoria Fire Department. So they previously had a big paper map on the wall. Fire alarm goes off. They all hop in the truck and they hope the driver remembers, you know, which roads are closed and you know they remember you know which fire hydrants are operational, what the flow rates are, all that kind of information. So this enabled them to take the system you know in the truck on an iPad. City staff could you know actually have roads that are closed and they could maintain that. And they can set it for like the whole street's shut down. It's one way. There's a flagger. They can set you know time expiries and all that kind of stuff. It also integrated with Google Street View, so they could go and actually see you know the two fire hydrants that they're actually looking at on the map up there as well. So it's a really great interactive tool to enable the fire department with that. So emergency response, you know, common theme. You know, these days with various different storms and sort of terrorist activities that are happening. So this allows you to be able to basically define incident zones, evacuation zones, staging areas. You can, you know, set you know, a bomb threat evacuation, an emergency response guide by chemical. You can do demographic analysis within an evacuation zone. So you can, based on your census data, you know, pull out and show the demographic breakdown of the people within a certain polygon. Pulling in social media is another big thing these days. So you know, if there's an earthquake, you know, it happened here, and then as people start posting Instagram pictures or Twitter feeds, you can actually start to get some initial information in terms of you know the level of damage and pull that all into this centrally sort of managed system. Lots of other stuff, assigning resources, that kind of stuff. So, you know, think of GeoCortex as a potential common operating platform, you know, for your environments. Think of like all the different systems that you need to tie into. Think of all the different, you know, agencies that need to come together during a time of crisis to work together. And GeoCortex can be that collaborating platform that you can insert into your environment, overlay over Esri technology, and then pull in all those third-party applications and data sources. I've heard several talks and conversations around damage assessment. So we built this application for St. Clair County. So they needed to go and send people into the field to do damage assessments of properties. So this tool allows them to go in and specify a level of damage enter some key attribute information, and then based on property values and the level of damage, you can they can create reports to submit to FEMA to show the level of damage and basically justify reimbursement. So it's quite configurable. This could be deployed in a situation where you have the public reporting trees down or power lines down, that kind of stuff as well. So lots of different scenarios for that recovery type applications to get done. Some work with transportations and highways. So the one on the right is with Iowa State. They wanted a public-facing viewer as well as a bunch of internal systems to show sort of projects over the next 5 years. So they were able to provide this to their customers. The one on the left is the one. There's actually one that we did just as part of a product demonstration for the New York State GIS managers. We basically just took their public maps that showed all the projects, and then we basically interfaced that with a report. So basically by region, they were able to go and say, show me all of the active projects in this region, and then it prepared a report for them. So lots of potential work with utilities as well. Local government. So this is the sort of the companion app that you have to your phone. This is a Silverlight application. And so I'm not going to be able to launch this here because I'm not running it on my laptop. But the Silverlight tool has a lot more sort of robust features that are great for desktop type applications, whereas the one that you've got is a great tool for making things available to the public or someone in a mobile environment. So as we kind of talked about at the beginning, think of GeoCortex as a spatial application sort of infrastructure between you and the various applications that you need to develop for those targeted type use case scenarios. So GeoCortex viewer for HTML5 works on any platform. So probably there's a mix of Android, maybe some Windows phones and some Apple's phones. So it works on pretty much any device. I'm not going to specify that for you. I'm going to try and where do you want me to select? Let's say allow.
Share allow. Go ahead.
Okay. That might have been for me launching my PowerPoint. So anyway, just generally, how did you guys make out with the app? Were you able to run a workflow or play around with it a little bit? It'll work later, yeah. You can take it away. So basically there's an intro panel when you launch it, it should start with an intro panel that looks like what's on the left of the screen, except what you'll notice is on your phone, it'll pick up the whole screen. So it basically detects what type of device you're using. And then when you select something, then the menu will come up, or if you choose to look at the map, it'll take up the full sort of screen itself. But yeah, I encourage you to play with it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to speak with you.